afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for braving the weather. I know it's a little bit challenging today, so I really appreciate you all for being here today. We're here for a pretty big occasion, and so I'm really excited. My name is Shay Collins. I'm the coordinator of the Wellness Center and also a member of the Black History Month Committee that wrote the proposal, and we are so thankful that President Preckwinkle graciously accepted our offer to deliver this keynote address to you all today. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you could please put your cell phones on silent or turn them off right now. I know you might have thought you've done it already, but just double check and make sure so that we don't have any interruptions. And also, if you need the washrooms are out of this set of doors. If you go straight ahead and to the right, you will see the washrooms on your right. So other than that, I just want to thank you all for being here again, and I'm going to turn it over to the president of Harold Washington College, President Margie Martin.
Thanks, everyone, and I get to officially welcome you to Harold Washington and President Preckwinkle. This is a great culminating event for Black History Month, and I want the committee to stand up. We saw Shay Collins, Damon Washington, I think he's still trying to get students in back, and also is Professor Wilkenfeld here. Okay, well, I was going to do a big shout out. How many of you, we've had lots of events this whole month. We had the film screening for Soul Food Junkies, a couple people. Yoga, who braved the yoga? Okay, no. We had the Sidney R. Daniels, the 28th Oratorical Festival, which was a huge success. And Professor Daniel actually passed away this December, so it was a huge emotional event for all of us. And actually, Shay helped students create vision boards as well. So this is a perfect keynote. President Preckwinkle being here to culminate this great month of Black history for us. And students, there's been a buzz around our college about the excitement about having her come. She's a great leader in the city of Chicago. She's a great role model for all of us. And she uses her intelligence, passion, and a strong sense of social responsibility to lead her way. You're going to hear her full bio from Randy, our student government president, in just a short while. But as I was reading through, there were some things I thought were really interesting and relevant to all of you. So before she was the president, she was an alderman for 19 years. And you know, that's a long time. Think of it. How many times have you stayed in a position for 19 years really fighting through that? She also taught high school history for 10 years. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Woo! Okay, we like those educators. And she was actually the second person, the person who was in her role ahead of her was appointed after one of the persons died in that position, but she's actually the first female to ever be elected into that office. Did my researchers do it right? Okay, woo, 2 thumbs up. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Randy Taylor, who's our student government president. Randy, you want to come on up? He's going, great. And Randy, it's really special because he was instrumental in getting President Preckwinkle here. So he's going to tell you that story as well. So thank you, Randy, and thank you for being here.
Sure.
All right, President Preckwinkle, I don't know if you remember Rush Hospital. We kind of met at the elevator.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's me. I tried to get President Preckwinkle to come to, SGA was hosting a women's panel, and I wanted different ladies of walks of life to be on this panel to have it was called I Am Woman, and we were going to have a discussion in regards to empowerment of women and that sort of thing, and her schedule wasn't admissible at the time, but she's here today, so thank you for being here. All right, Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle has been a dedicated community leader for over 2 decades, providing independent and progressive leadership founded on experience, know-how, and commitment to practical results. Tony has the integrity and the know-how or forward-thinking ideas that are needed to transform Cook County government into a world-class institution of which the people of Cook County can be proud. Tony stood up to the city's political machine. Despite failed first attempts, she prevailed. She ran an improbable campaign and against the political establishment and was elected 4th Ward Alderman in 1991. In her 19 years as Alderman, Tony has improved the quality of life of her constituents. by providing independent, transparent, and accountable leadership. She ended the old patronage, a model of which jobs were awarded based on political clout. She has successfully fought for greater funding for education and for affordable housing. She sponsored the living wage and affordable housing ordinances and was a lead plaintiff in the lawsuit that was to institute a more racially equitable map of Chicago's ward boundaries. Tony sponsored an ordinance that limits the establishment of payday loan stores and was a lead sponsor of the anti-smoking ordinance. She has not been afraid to stand up to the status quo. And voting against the parking meter privatization, I have a hard time saying that word, privatization, and, thank you, and standing with a small minority group in the opposition of 2008 tax increases. Tony's independent and progressive leadership has earned her the IPO Best Alderman Award in 1993, 95, 97, 99, 2005, and 2008. And in the 1997 and 2009 Leon Desprez Awards. Tony was elected Cook County Board President on November 2nd, 2010. She holds a bachelor and a master's degree from the University of Chicago. She taught high school for 10 years before being elected city council, and she's also the mother of 2 children and the grandmother of 3. So if you will please give us give our official a gracious welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I want to thank Randy for that kind introduction. You should all know that I was at Rush seeing my primary care physician, and I get accosted by this guy in the elevator who's trying to invite me to events at Harold Washington. I regret that I couldn't come to the one he had in mind, but I'm glad to be here today. So long before I was elected to office, I was a history teacher. I spent 10 years teaching high school history. Usually what I say is I'm a teacher with a temp job. I'm always glad to come to the colleges and universities in Cook County to talk to students, and particularly glad to be here during Black History Month. I want to begin by acknowledging Harold Washington's leadership. He was a very effective public servant. He was a man who broke many barriers in his lifetime, from his military service to his career as a lawyer, and surely his career in politics. He's also one of the most inclusive leaders I've ever known. He became mayor of the city of Chicago to serve all Chicagoans. He was determined to treat every neighborhood and every racial group and every ethnic group fairly. Similarly, I ran for president of the Cook County Board to be president for all of the people of Cook County, not to be the African American president of the Cook County Board. In these divisive times, it's worth remembering the example and standards set by Mayor Washington. Cook County's diversity is a source of its strength. We have a strong and growing economy. We welcome to the county many new residents regardless of their race, ethnicity, or religion. And let me just say, Cook County is pretty unique in the country. 25% of our people are African American, 25% are Latino, about 6% are Asian. So it's really a majority county in terms of people of color, which is fascinating. At the same time, as president, I have to acknowledge that some of the issues that we deal with and are mandated to deal with impact more particularly and more deeply our African American and Latino communities than others. This is especially true when we talk about criminal justice. As Cook County Board President, my focus continues to be on improving access to justice and reducing disproportionate minority contact in our criminal justice system. We're also working to reduce violence and recidivism, that is returning to jail or prison, and trying to build safer communities. So if you remember one thing from my speech, I want you to remember this. The United States of America has 5% of the world's population. So 5 out of every 100 people in the world are Americans. But we have 25% of the people in the entire world who are in prison. 25% of the entire population of people in the world in prison are in prison in the United States. Now, what I usually say is unless you think that Americans are more likely to be criminals than people elsewhere in the world, we're doing something terribly wrong. And if you look at it, we lock up white people at about the same rate they do in Northern Europe. The reason we have so many people in jail is that we lock up black and brown people in just extraordinary numbers. Here in Cook County, we have the largest single-site jail in the nation. But contrary to what most people think, Cook County Jail is not a place where we lock up violent criminals, predominantly. Most of the people who are in our jail are accused of non-violent crimes. And it's not primarily a place where people wait to go to prison. Only 7% of the people in our jail are serving a sentence. 7% are serving a sentence. That means that 93% are awaiting trial. And this is a country in which you're innocent until proven guilty. So they've not yet been convicted of the crime they're accused of. 7% are serving a sentence. 93% are awaiting trial. Of those that are awaiting trial, 70% are awaiting trial for nonviolent crimes. 70% of those who are awaiting trial are awaiting trial for nonviolent crimes. A lot of it's drug possession, prostitution and shoplifting, the things people do to get money for their drugs, not paying their child support, not paying their traffic tickets. They're detained because they can't afford to pay their bail. So what I usually say is, our jail